The following game has been rated E for everyone by the ESRB, and it has no listed restrictions. That means that the content in the game should be appropriate for anyone aged 6 and up. Furthermore, this game is also listed as Early Access. That means that this game is not yet completed, so what you will see in the following video may not be reflective of the final product. You have been warned. Greetings and salutations, I am Outlier and I bid you welcome to this channel. Joining me today is of course my usual co-hosts, Snowball and Wolf. And today we're returning back to Hardspace Shipbreaker. So the premise of Hardspace Shipbreaker is that you are a salvage engineer sent up into orbit by your corporate overlords, a corporation known as Lynx Corp. And they've tasked you with the job of taking apart salvageable, derelict, and questionably derelict vessels, so that way they can resell all the various components and materials that the ship is made out of for an exorbitant profit. Now, this is a for-profit corporation. And when I say for-profit, I mean more profits for the corporation. Now, to be fair, they do pay you for any component or ship material that's correctly processed and salvaged off of these ships you scrap. However, you don't actually get to see any of that money. All of your payment and fees and anything else that you make off of these vessels is subtracted off of an over 1 billion credit debt that Lynx saddled you with as reconciliation, or recompense I guess is the correct term, to pay back the costs incurred with getting you up into orbit to do their job for them. So this game is about paying off the corporate debt that you've been saddled with, one mostly broken ship at a time, and in between the various ships and while working on the various ships, you try not to get yourself killed, because while they do basically spawn another clone of you to keep doing the work, there's an extra fee associated with that, and if you keep dying, you won't pay off the debt. And paying off the debt is, I guess, all that matters. I've never actually gotten anywhere close to paying off the debt because I don't play this game all that often, truth be told. And periodically they update the game and have to reset all my progress. And the reason why they reset all the progress is because this game is flagged as an early access title on Steam. Technically yes, but at the same time no. There is enough of the game to play and make videos of, but I should point out that when they finally do get finished the game, what you see in this video may not fully reflect the final product. And speaking of hard resets and early access and major updates, if you remember from last episode, I managed to get to a level at which point I was able to start salvaging javelins, the next tier up above mackerel. But as I said, major update, which, if I read the patch notes, actually came out yesterday as of filming. So all my progress has been reset, so I get to start back off from the very beginning, again. While it seems like most of the changes are now for the mid part of the story, basically ranks 8 to 18 I believe the note said, I don't know what's changed in the very beginning, and rather than risk is witnessing something new and shiny in the very beginning and not having it recorded, I don't plan on playing much of this game off camera. So that's how it's been, and that's where we're going to be picking it back up right after I state that this game has been made by Thank you again. And that being said, let us begin. Alright, humankind has industrialized much of the solar system. Earth has deteriorated into a place of squalor and decay, so it's modern day times. In orbit, a new breed of worker has emerged, the Shipbreaker. Labor is extremely dangerous, as is most these kinds of jobs, but for a select few, the hazard pay is worth the risk, even if they don't actually see it. And then it just fades into only the Shipbreaker, and then that fades as well. Alright, and it looks like be the standard opening. Looks like, okay, so Shipbreaker application paved the way to the Galaxy program. Update your application status, view update. So it looks like the standard opening hasn't changed. There's still a food shortage continuing. There's still, I don't think I can move this, but some sort of green thing has been contaminated and is drawing concerns. Apparently a credit transfer I tried to do has been denied. Apparently the character's father is sick again. Apparently there's also past due notices for electric power, including first, second, and final null. So I'm assuming the first one's off screen. Utility workforce, application denied. Some sort of medical hospital requires a payment. Ted Lee wants to know if I have any rations to spare. And the Office of Civilian, I guess, Oversight wants me to respond. And then there's the Lynx Corporation about a Shipbreaker application. So let's view update to actually start the game. And congratulations, acceptance, paved the way Galaxy program, yada yada yada. It looks to be about the same, which I've already read the last time I had to reset, I guess 2, maybe 3 episodes ago. So need to enter a name. There we go. Once again, we go with Outlier because it sounds a lot like Outlier. Alright, so we get voice identification. I'd like to point out that all the voice ID verifications is basically 4 people screaming. I don't know if they're actually going to go to give the playable character actually voiced lines, or it's just they'll go on the silent protagonist route. But it still amuses me that the only voice samples you have for your character are them screaming in pain for all intents and purposes. It makes you kind of wonder what they're expecting out of you. An orientation preference standard, meal preferences, about the same. So let's go with plastic free, just because I'm not certain if plastic free means that it doesn't come in plastic wrappings or the food isn't plastic, but it's best to be absolutely certain. I mean, I'm fine with either vegetarian or chicken. I have absolutely no idea what entomotarian is. I still haven't looked that up from last time, mainly because I forgot. And then agree to each statement. It looks to be the same. I agree that I'm not a criminal in anywhere but the Jovian frontier. I agree that I've never associated with the workers' union. I've completed my annual medical exam and I've been cleared for having McCullough's lung, whatever that is. I have no commercial or real estate interests on Lunar, the asteroid belt, or in the nation-state of Arizona. Why Arizona matters and not anywhere else, I have absolutely no idea, but I'm guessing they don't want me to sell land to pay off the debt. I will bring a positive attitude and problem-solving mindset to work every day. Yes, the problem of trying to stay alive will always be solved. I understand and accept the health risks associated with long-term exposure to Vander Wallace Field. I have no idea what that is, but sure, why not? I will vote for Chancellor Chung Zhang in the Pan-American Senate election. I do have mixed feelings about agreeing for who I'm going to vote for to corporation, but I have a feeling that if the corporation is running everything to the point where they just tell me who to vote for, something tells me this Chancellor Chung Zhang is running unopposed anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, next, various terms and conditions. Now, again, you'd think that they would actually put the actual EULA here, but no, it's actually in regards to the actual job. About giving over my DNA and them harvesting my character's brain for the reanimation for the cloning process and various things like that. And also, if the character dies and he still has debts to pay off, they transfer to his next of kin. So let's continue.
Each day he steps into the yard to earn his wages working hard. I pray to the stars and heaven above to return my daddy to those he loves. If there comes a time when he and death meet, bless the next cutter that takes his seat. I mean, I do like that opening. Tethers don't work that way in real life, though. So welcome
Hello,
to
Cutter 9346-52. Your automated Lynx onboarding experience will now begin. Please observe this important message.
Space, boundless promise, limitless resources, a brighter future. It's here that hard workers like you, the backbone of civilization, will help us pave the way to the galaxy. I'm Calicia Rai Paulson, president of Lynx Corporation's Salvage Division. When my great-great-grandfather Exeter founded Lynx, he foresaw a remarkable opportunity among the stars. His vision eventually brought us the railgates. Now spanning all the way to Jupiter, these are the veins connecting all of modern civilization. And the people flowing through them are its lifeblood. The railgates reinvigorated humanity and are key to our continued progress. You have been selected from among thousands of candidates to join the Lynx family. This is more than just a job. It's an opportunity to be part of the largest, most successful, and most pioneering company in human history. Your dream may be to forge your own destiny one day. Well, work hard, heed your superiors, believe in the Lynx vision. Do this, and you too will get your chance. first step is to join our EverWork program. The greatest gift we give our employees, turning death into an ongoing opportunity for learning and growth. With Links, death is a fresh start. Good luck.
Alright, so this is the part that I do question, because press yes, I want a fresh start. Press to begin genetic extraction.
Video observation complete. To finalize onboarding, your genetic sequence will now be extracted for use with the Links EverWork Asset Replacement Program. Don't worry, pain levels during extraction are largely tolerable.
Yeah.
Please note, as outlined in Section 31 of your employment agreement, the process of genetic extraction will destroy your original body. Beginning extraction now. Extraction analysis and backup complete. Thank you. Beginning spare generation.
Yeah, the fact that they have to kill you in order to extract enough genetic material to reclone you. So it does make me wonder that if they just use any genetic material, do they just kill you and then use your corpse to reanimate you? That would be both creepy, weird, and would actually be cost effective, I guess. I mean, your carcass is just there. Anyway, EverWork asset replacement successful. Genetic sequence stored. Congratulations. I don't know if this is a bug or intended. It is now safe to die. Shipbreakers are responsible for the cost of biomaterials used in the EverWork process. An additional fee is required for deaths that occur outside working hours. You may proceed with salvage training. Good luck! And then loading feeds report, so I'm guessing that's a bug. Or it's something on my TV. Anyway, so this is a list. So this is an itemized list of all the fees that are incurred with the debt that I have to pay back. It brings the grand total to 1,252,594,441.92 credits. And this entire fee report costs $7.50 to make, or 7.5 credits to make. I don't know if they still go by credits or dollars. Yeah, debt is a sign of being prepared. No, it's not. I guess that was a bug because it's not here anymore. It's not on the load screen.
All right, breathe. You're okay. Everything's gonna be just fine. There you go. Plenty of folks feel a bit woozy with their first spare. Anyway, welcome aboard. The name's Weaver. I'm the foreman for yourself and a couple of the other shipbreakers in this region. This here's Morrigan Station. She may not look like much right now, but once we boot her up, she'll purr like a kitten. All right, let's test out your orientation control. Do me a favor and look up at that cargo elevator up above. That's it. So that's where all the salvage gets collected to be picked up by the transfer crew. Just in case you ever turn yourself out of whack, use your roll thrusters to reorient.
Especially considering the fact that I'm fairly certain I'm now sideways in regards to Morrigan.
Alright, now let's get you flying. Activating your thruster controls now. Try moving around.
Now, I would like to point out the fact that they essentially woke you up
Now, vertical control.
in the spacesuit. I wonder if that's what they did.
Looks good. Now to finalize these movement checks, I need you to fly to these waypoints.
Alright, and now we play around with the thrusters.
Used to be a cutter myself, you know. Till there were some complications with my last revive. Those were early days in the tech, though, so never you mind about that. Oh, almost forgot about the most important thing. Brakes. Get yourself going at a decent clip, and then test them out, why don't you?
To point out that in the controls down on the lower left-hand corner, it says Q and E are brake, but no, they are roll left and right. It's left control that's brake, or at least I think it's just left control. Yeah, it's just left control that's brake.
Alright, looks like the bay here was left in a bit of a mess. We're gonna clean this scrap up. Gonna activate the furnaces now. Ah, dang thing. Would you just... There you go. So these furnaces are used to melt down soft metals. Should go without saying that these things are as hot as all get out. So try not to drift into them by accident. Okay, let's get a handle on your grapple tool. This fella here is a shipbreaker's bread and butter. This is how we move salvage around. Activate the beam and hold it to grab an object and move it around. If it's not too heavy, give it a go and move one of these pieces into either furnace. So when you're holding an object with the grapple, you can retract the beam. This will pull a light object to you. If it's heavier than you, it'll pull you towards it. Nice job cleaning up all that soft metal scrap, Cutter. Let's move on to the bigger nanocarbon chunks now, shall we? You may have already noticed that these are too heavy to move with your grapple. I'm enabling your scanners so we can check out their structural makeup. Go ahead and boot it up.
Come on, get in the mall. You know you want to. There we go. Alright, activate scanner.
This mode of your scanner lets you assess an object's structure. What I want you to focus on right now are these cut points. Alright, Control is giving me the go-ahead to get you cutting. You have quick access to all your tools through your HUD. Just open up the tool selector and choose the cutting tool.
I say, which one is the tool menu? Because I generally don't bother with this, I just go with the
Your cutting
numbers.
tool has two modes. The first one is the stinger. It's designed for precision vaporization of cut points like this. You ready to perform some zero-G surgery, Cutter? Well, let's split this scrap so it's light enough to move. That's how you do it. Okay, let me boot up the processor so you can salvage these. Do me a favor and look towards one of them there so I can see if they activate right. Yeah, perfect. Wish me luck here, Cutter. Me and technology ain't always the best of friends. Hey, alright, we're in business. Now swap over to your grapple and toss one of them pieces you separated right in there.
Look to point out that Weaver is in some place known as Olympus Station, whereas we're at Morrigan Station. So I'm assuming he's not even anywhere nearby. Because I'm assuming anything named Olympus is in, like, Martian.
Well, okay. We're almost done getting this bay in shape. Let's go after that large aluminum chunk over there.
Anyway, as I was saying, anything named Olympus, I believe, is either Greek or something Martian related. So assuming he's actually operating in and out of Mars, whereas if that's any indication, we're actually somewhere in orbit over Earth. Possibly Asia. I'm not 100% certain, and don't hold me to that.
Processing valuable
Anyway.
objects. Credits awarded.
Now this beast is way too heavy to move as is. It's also too dense for your stinger to break it down, and there are no structural cut points for us to take advantage of. We're gonna have to switch over to the split saw mode of your cutting tool and start slicing this thing down to size. Go ahead and switch cut modes now.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of playing with the smaller chunks. I'll be right with you. Am I moving backwards when holding this thing? I mean, that would kind of make sense. Alright, split saw.
Now try changing the angle of the cut. We're in business. I've unlocked the trigger on your cutting tool. It'll split that big chunk clean in two. Go ahead and give her a whirl. I'm going to turn on your salvage indicator so you can track how much work is left to do. This thing will track how much you've salvaged and how much you lost. For now, let's try and hit that first goal marker. And that's what it's all about, Cutter. The more salvage goals you complete, the closer you'll get to hitting your certifications and ranking up.
Alright, so I cut this large chunk into 4 pieces just for fun.
Raw material processed. Credits deposited.
Great first shift in the yard, Cutter. Let's head on over to your hab, and I'll show you the ropes there. Now fly
Cool.
on over back to the master jack. I'll put a marker on it so you can find it easy. When you get there, head on in, and we'll get started. Great first shift in the yard, Cutter. Let's head on over to your hab, and I'll show you the ropes there. Now fly on over back to the master jack. I'll put a marker on it so you can find it easy. When you get there, head on in, and we'll get started.
That's interesting. It now displays the amount of credits that you've earned by salvaging something. I don't think I'd used to do that, and there's still something left. Of course, it did also say panel was destroyed. I'm not quite certain how or where. And I'm not seeing anything else in the scanner. Okay, what is that? Alright, well, whatever it is, it's on the other side of the barge, so it's out of the playfield. So it's scenery. That's what it is. Anyway, let's head to the hab where we live when we're not working. One thing I always like doing, once I get within range, is to basically grapple the hab and pull myself towards it. It makes me go slightly faster. Although I should point out, I'm not certain about this right now, but I'm fairly certain you exceed 10 meters a second, and anything you collide with will damage and/or destroy the suit, so be careful with your speed. Alright, so I lost 2 kilograms of aluminum panel from somewhere. I salvaged everything else, though.
Congrats, Cutter. You're already on your way up. Head on into your hab, and we'll check things out.
Alright, so I am now rank 2. So I passed the basic competency training of you can actually move while in orbit, so you're good. Oh, it actually shows what's been salvaged and what's remaining and what's destroyed. It's kind of neat. I mean, I don't actually know what's remaining, but I didn't see anything. But there's always something left.
Hello, Shipbreaker. You have 1 incoming transmission waiting.
Alright, and this is one thing that's new. This is the hab, so I can kind of move around in it. I can't actually walk around. Normally, it's just basically shift around to various things. I mean, my workstation's right here, which I don't actually have access to just yet. Although I'm guessing this is where I go to fix and repair and upgrade the tools. So this is the cutter, this is the grapple, this is a monkey wrench, or pipe wrench as I believe it's officially called. Various tools. I'm assuming once I unlock demolition charges, the detonator will be around here somewhere. These are some warning images that I can only see on the background. And this is the suit, which I, again, also can't access. Various posters that I have access to, which I can change from. Apparently, in the past, if I found a ship with posters in them, I basically yanked them off and threw them in the barge for like 10 credits. But now, apparently, if I have any, I can actually change them around. So I can go with Link's Salvage Division, Habitat Enrichment Department, absolutely nothing, Decor, Home, or the Link symbol. Live, Laugh, Salvage, and that's it, for now. Alright, and it said that there's some sort of employment terminal. Apparently I can go to bed, and there's more posters to change here. Don't know what the kitchen's for. Apparently there's no water. A vending machine, which I'm assuming I get requires fees. A food table. Well, a food pyramid, anyway. Yeah, so it's just the one poster back here. I'm guessing the same with the bed. Then the employee terminal, which is where I'm guessing the messages come in. Oh, I can also look at the window. Should it worry me that there's a handprint here? Only if it's from the outside. Anyway, let's receive the call.
Welcome to your new home, Cutter. Has everything you need. This is officially called a ready-made long-term employee habitation something or other. But round here, we just call it your hab. Now how's about you get yourself some rest, and we'll pick up your training in the morning. Now sleep tight there, Cutter.
Okay. Apparently you automatically go to bed.
Hello Shipbreaker 9346-52. Lynx would like to share the following inspirational message. Make the most of your shift by fanning the tiny sparks of effort into flames of profitability.
Is that it? Okay. I wonder if we now have a wake-up screen, can we run multiple shifts at the same day? So anyway, reminder, minimum payments are due by 10 a.m. Solar Standard Time each day. If apparent time is considered breach of contract, thank you for your hard work and cooperation. They take all the money. Why wouldn't they just simply automatically pay off the debt? I wonder if the cutter ID is the same from last time. I didn't really pay attention to it.
Rise and shine, Cutter. Hope you feel well rested. You ready to continue your training? Okay, let's have a look at your employee terminal. Now let's get caught up on career progression and certification. I've sent you a message with an explanation now. Go on and give it a read.
I got 5 messages now. Alright, so we got one about the light mackerel and station hopper variants. From the shipyard admin. Link's EDUs talking about salvage goals. Fairly soon the same as last time. Link's EDU is talking again about the Employee Financial Relief Program. Yeah, which is basically explains why they saddled me with a 1.25 billion credit debt. Talk about the scanner. We have the cross-spectrum scanner. And then certification.
Clear as mud? Don't worry. I'm here to walk you through the process, and soon enough I'm going to introduce you to some of the other shipbreakers. Most of them are willing to help you out, too. All right, let's start a new shift and pick your first ship to work on.
They're basically the same as the last time. And we head out to the airlock, even though the suit's technically behind us. And this is the ship catalog. I don't think this has changed.
This is the catalog that shows you which ships you have access to from the shipyard. Every day, you can choose to continue working on the ship you've got, or start a fresh one. Go ahead and pick one, any one, and we'll get to work.
Alright, so they're all roughly the same price. Of course, I'm looking at kilograms, not value. I'm going to say, if the value was 24,457, then the Atlantic Rhea Carrier, a station hopper, looks to be the most expensive, but that's total mass, not total value. Total value goes to the Wilson 4 by 15,000 credits. So let's pick that one. And claiming a new ship empties the salvage bay of the old ship. There was no old ship, so we're good.
Now, I know these ships look intimidating to scrap at first, but trust me, soon enough you'll be stripping the huge Gecko-class freighters like they're nothing. Got my start salvaging back down Earthside in the droid scrapping business. You know what made me come up here? Well, one day we got a batch of this particular model in. One of them kinds with synthetic skin and everything. We almost never saw people looking ones like that. They were always too expensive to manufacture. Seems someone found a warehouse full of them, mothballed for, 20 years or so, since the AI ban took effect. Probably bought the whole lot for pennies, thinking they could turn a tidy profit with the salvage. No word of a lie. These things looked exactly like my stepbrother did. Even had the same slack-jawed expression. Now, Jed and I wasn't exactly pals or nothing. All the same, I couldn't bring myself to start smashing that dopey face. And that's when I looked into getting on with Lynx. Tell you what, it's a sight better to cut up something that doesn't look like a family relation. Anyway, I'm running on. I'll clear the channel. Holler if there's anything giving you grief up there, Cutter. Weaver out.
So basically, Weaver has a brother-in-law that's an android. Got it. Also, there's this credit drive here, which I'm guessing is worth coin. Just shove that in the pockets. And as I've said before, what I generally like doing is working outside in, and then, well, yeah, outside in, then front back. So while Weaver was talking, I chopped off the front of the vessel. We did off all the main cut points of it, what I like to call the head of the vessel. And I'm just cutting off the ceilings and the roof and the back part. Alright, now that that's generally all free, just push it up with my head. Right, and I don't get access to tethers, I think, until rank 3, maybe 4, which will be about 2 or 3 salvages.
Object processed. Credits awarded.
So until then, it's just basically align with the blue maw, or as close to it as I can, and then just push the things into the maw. Missed a cut point on the floor, interesting. Since I'm still technically part of the tutorial, I don't have a 15-minute timer to worry about, nor technically an O2 to supply, so I guess I keep cutting.
Valuable object processed. Credits awarded.
Nope, get back up here. I have absolutely no idea what the range of the force push is, but apparently it's quite a ways. I mean, these things almost to the blue maw, and I can still hit it with the force punch. Alright, next comes the door because it's right there.
Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
Alright, now we chop off the glass, or, you know, as much of it as we can. As I'm fairly certain I hit the floor. Alright, are you free now? Yes, yes you are. I do like looking at the large chunks of window glass. I still throw it in the red maw just because it's cheap and inexpensive. You know, that's where it goes as it gets stuck in the corner. Alright, so since this is a tier 1 ship, there isn't actually any components on board. And it looks like I actually did hit the side panel. Of course, that's a sideways cut, not vertical. That's interesting. Anywho, so since I don't have tethers, I really can't pull the head off to get access to the side pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a hole right through here. And because I know there aren't any components, I don't have to worry about hitting anything explosive. And just cut off these cut points. And then push this thing. And off pops one of the cheeks. As I like to call the side pieces of the cockpit. Of course, these things are also massive, so they take forever for the grapple to move. But move they do. Eventually. Right, and this whole chunk that I just cut off goes to the red maw.
Processing valuable object. Credits awarded.
And then we lather, rinse, repeat on the other side. Of course, it looks like I didn't need the vertical cuts, so I mean, that's a thing. And there we go. The other cheek is off. Just fling this off into the blue maw. Now, as I've always said, these cockpit centerpieces do give me problems because it's composed of two different kinds of materials. Stuff that goes to the red maw, basically aluminum, and nanocarbon, which goes to the blue. And since nanocarbon is always more expensive than aluminum, and I'm fairly certain there's more nanocarbon than aluminum, the cockpit area goes to the blue maw always. I mean, I could spend time cutting off the aluminum paneling, or at least as much of as I can, but that requires time and effort, and because I'm usually on a 15-minute time clock, it's usually not worth the effort to do so. Then hit the side pieces, the cut points with the side pieces.
Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
Yep, and I lose 14,000 credits worth of glass. How much glass was left on that thing? So anyway, if you look at the salvage bar, a chunk of it flagged red. Everything that was still on the cockpit that was supposed to go to the red maw that didn't, that's what the red chunk represents. And when you fully salvaged everything, the yellow bar meets the red. And if you're very, very lucky, or at least skilled, or both, the yellow bar meets the red after the 3 diamond mark, which is your third salvage goal, which, as I've said before, I guess I have no in-game reference for this, but I'm assuming they reference the various expenses. So once you hit the salvage goal 1, your fixed costs involving the salvage are handled, basically overhead and all that fun stuff. You know, stuff that's the same price every time. And that's what the first salvage goal covers, so the amount of salvage that you make covers those, although it's arguably still technically a loss for the company, because in addition to fixed costs, you have variable costs, which is salvage goal number 2, which I just hit. So now the variable costs and the fixed costs should technically be hit, at least in my head canon they are. Yes, I believe that's what the term is. Anyway, there's no airlock, so I don't have to worry about that. Anyway, now that the fixed costs and the variable costs are covered, anything after salvage level 2 is considered profit. And I'm guessing after salvage level 3, or at least what I consider salvage level 3, that's the minimum profit considered to be worthwhile. So that's the expected amount that they expect you to salvage completely.
Object accepted for processing.
So while I basically have the cost covered associated with salvaging this hazard level 0 mackerel, the Wilson 4, I was looking for its name because I can never remember anybody's name. Anyway, so this ship is now turning a profit, but they expect me to salvage more profit, so we continue salvaging.
Valuable object processed. Credits deposited.
Then anything over salvage level 3 is, well, above and beyond what they expect. No, just extra bonus for them. Alright.
Ship teardown complete. Header account credited.
Yeah, see what I mean? Anyway. So all that's left is the basic frame and the back piece of nanocarbon. Because the back piece of nanocarbon is behind the frame, and it goes to the blue maw because it's all nanocarbon. I have to get rid of the frame first because I don't have tethers to yank it out instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the frame in 4 pieces, hopefully. Yeah, no, that's not for you. There we go. That should be good. Seem to be good here. Alright. I probably should be doing this. Okay, I did not cut this in half completely yet. because both sides went at the same time, and I forgot the back parts. Hang on. 'Cause I hit more of the frame and cut something else off. Nope, just a straight line through some of the aluminum. Alright, just whack the back portion. This. Move slightly forward so I don't accidentally push the back part into the red maw. Where'd this piece go? There we are.
Deposit accepted.
Then we fire this way. I bring this chunk over here. And keep going. Alright, so when the tether flag's red like that, it can't get a solid lock, so if you keep pressing the matter, at the very least with tethers, they will eventually break, and then your part goes flying who knows where. And in you go. So all that's left is the back piece, which is probably some of the most massive chunks of nanocarbon on the mackerel. At least the single most chunk of nanocarbon on the mackerel. Trying not to get it caught on the storm break, which, if you don't know what that is, that's my name for the wall between the furnace and the processor, what I call the red and blue maws, respectively. Get in the blue maw.
Valuable object processed. Credits awarded.
Alright, so there was a little gap between the yellow and red lines. That means that there's still something here. Oh, a small little chunk of panel. Okay.
Raw material processed. Credits deposited.
Anything else? Something there. Yeah, birth. No smoking. I do question exactly why they need a no smoking sign. We are, after all, in a vacuum. Right. Anything else? Anything at all? Guessing no. Well, it does look like that there's at least something still unclaimed, but I'm not seeing it in the bay. I mean, all these are just, all the off-colored chunks are just scenery. So I'm guessing we're good. I mean, we made more profit than they expected of us, so keep going. I mean, I made enough to get to rank 3 anyway, so I'm guessing we're good. So we end the shift. Okay, so I lost 3% of the vessel, totaling 24,967 credits I don't get. But I did salvage 96.5% of the vessel, so I net a total of 805,527.66. Apparently there's 0.06% of the vessel remaining, so 4,644 credits worth of vessels are unaccounted for. And I lost 24 kilograms of glass. That's a lot less than I thought it would be, given the price tag for it. 778 kilograms of aluminum, and 63 kilograms of aluminum structure. And no, actually, glass apparently is relatively expensive. I mean, I salvaged 78 kilograms of it, and it's a total value of 47,062 credits, well, 62.55 credits. And outside of the credit drive, which netted me 20,000 credits just as a bonus, the nanocarbon panel and the nanocarbon itself, it's the most expensive piece on the list. Not even the thruster cap, which I salvaged over twice as much kilograms of, rates the same amount as the glass. So apparently glass is more expensive now than it used to be. Must be some kind of very special glass.
New certification level achieved. License upgraded.
And I now hit rank 3 recruit, so they now think me competent enough to actually stay, so we continue on. And we end the shift.
Hello Shipbreaker. Overnight genetic backup complete. Pattern deviation nominal. Have a good day.
So, genetic backup, does that mean that I got harvested again without my knowledge? Anyway, good morning again. Fees need to be paid off.
Looking good, Cutter. Now go ahead and pick another ship.
Now, how did he know that I ate the entire ship? Because that's what the tutorial said, and there's no more ships, so I can't continue salvaging. That or the tutorial won't let me. And we now have access to grade 2 vessels, and I can't go back to grade 1 because it's still a tutorial, so they want to explain exactly what's new and shining on these vessels. And it looks like the Trident has the highest value, just a little over 200,000 more. So that's the one we're taking. I believe this is where they introduced the barge.
Alright, hold up a second there, Cutter. Because you've increased your rank, we're gonna give you the next greatest ship. Now this one will be full of machinery, electronics, furniture, all stuff that Lynx can collect and resell. You're gonna want to toss those items on the barge. That's the big green thing below you. Go ahead, have a look. Toss any valuable objects or components down there. Now don't worry about breaking anything. There's a dampening field that'll catch everything. It works great. Most of the time. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, early on, before the 0.5 update, the last update before this one, where they added in the opening, everything that got caught in the net was stuck right where it was at, and it didn't empty out until you were done salvaging the vessel. So if I were to say, cut off this nacelle right here, if I can get the stinger close enough, because the crosscut will probably hit the nacelle, and shove it down here into what I like to call the net, even though its official name is the barge.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
In the past, it would actually get stuck there, right in the same position that it was oriented as it hit the barge. And if I flung something else right on top of it, it would bounce off the nacelle and go who knows where. That or explode. One of the two. But nowadays, it basically keeps everything in this energy-based box.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
For lack of a better term. So I prefer it this way, truth be told. I'm not entirely certain the door control ended up in there. Oop.
Electrical damage. Note that excess electrical damage has been found to negatively impact long-term job satisfaction.
Alright, well that was unexpected. Usually because the door control for the airlock goes in the same place as the airlock, I don't bother to pull it out. But I think I've been getting dinged for that for some reason. So I tried pulling it out, but there are little handle thingies in here that don't go to the barge. So yeah, I can't even actually yank them off. But the door control hit that instead of just going out forward. And door controls are actually very, very, very fragile. So it broke easily, and I couldn't get away from me before it started sparking. And I took damage. I think the suit's fine. It's just, you know, health-wise I took damage. And if I take enough damage, character dies. Now normally I cut the glass from the outside, but if I'm being honest, there's no computers here that I have to worry about hitting, so... I can just cut it out from the inside and just fling it in.
Deposit
There we
accepted.
go. We have 40,000 credits just for that. A whole bunch of glass that I just didn't get to. I mean, now that I know it's that expensive, I might actually try going for it a little bit more. Don't think that went in.
Material deposited.
Or it did. Yeah, that little chunk was 7,000 over 7,000 credits by itself. Interesting. Anyway, seats go to the barge.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
And these seats are worth 15,000 credits apiece. Interesting. I mean, I do like the fact that it tells me how much everything is worth, as opposed to me guessing.
Nice work. Got that pretty quickly. Now let me teach you about the kiosk. Once the training wheels come off, Link's regulations mean you gotta cover your own oxygen and fuel costs. That's the way things go. Turning it on now. Now, no need to panic. They'll last you a good while. But if you end up running out, you gotta go top up at the kiosk over there. Let's have a look.
Cool, let me grab this bin. So if I were smart, because I'm fairly certain the shift timer would start pretty soon, as soon as he's done saying access the kiosk,
Credits deposited.
I would then have 15 minutes to start salvaging everything. But as I was saying, if I was smart, what I should have done was not toss everything into the barge and just keep cutting. Of course, then I have to worry about cutting into all the various pieces and all that fun stuff. So let's actually look at the
Account credit
kiosk. And I'll probably have a tutorial. So best get it done now and then worry about the timer later. You can always come back and keep salvaging things.
Welcome to Vendatron 9000.
Alright, so I don't actually get fuel tanks, first aid kits, so any damage to the health I can't repair except in between shifts. I don't need the patch kit because the suit's fine, I just got electrocuted.
Thank you for your purchase.
I can buy repair kits for the equipment because equipment durability will take into effect, and I can also buy tethers and demo charges, but neither of those I have access to just yet.
Good stuff, Coder. Pretty easy, right? Alright. I'll leave you to it. We'll chat again when you hit the next rank. Weaver out.
Alright, I'm assuming the timer starts now. Might not actually start until next shift. Anyway. Okay, fine. This is the fun way. Now, where's that chunk of panel? Oh, there you are.
Valuable object processed.
Bring it around here. Into the red maw you go.
Raw material processed. Credits deposited.
And then we repeat the process. Cutting off a little bit more of the panel this time. I'm assuming it's moving. And it is. Alright, so since you're technically in the way, let's deal with you first. To the red maw with you. Yeah, close enough.
I see some potential fire hazards in there, so watch out, Cutter. Be careful not to cut or bump oxygen tanks, or fuel lines. If there are flammable objects nearby, those flames can spread pretty quick like.
Alright, so I'm guessing
Object
close
suspected
to something that
Credits
could go
deposited.
boom. Don't quite know what that is, but apparently quite close to it. I'm guessing since I'm still arguably in the tutorial, the timer hasn't happened yet, but I do need to worry about O2. So. Get this off, fire it here. Right now, other than the paneling, keeping the other paneling, the panel to the frame, I don't think there's anything keeping the airlock attached to the frame itself, so that just pops out and heads straight to the barge.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
Quite a bit of credits, and I even hit salvage goal 1. Alright, so what's left of the cockpit, even though glass is more expensive now than it used to be, it's still mostly nanocarbon, so this just gets shot clean into the blue maw. Because I salvaged most of the glass, and I don't feel like cutting off all the various extra little chunks. Get in the maw. Don't make me come over there. Mainly because I'm fairly certain the processor would kill the character just as quickly and easily as the furnace would, so. Now, there used to be a gravity to these things.
Processing valuable objects.
Guess it's still there.
Credits awarded.
So I lost like 12,000 credits worth of aluminum, 17,000 worth of, oh, that's what he means by fuel tanks. I see it now.
Gunner, make your way back to the kiosk on the starting platform to fill up your own too. Blue ain't his color. Trust me on this one. Weaver out.
Oxygen levels stabilizing.
I seem to be good on fuel for now, so I'll just get the O2. Of course, with the front of the mackerel gone, I can just technically just yank all these cargo storage bins out this way and just throw them down into the
Salvage secured.
barge,
Credits deposited.
like thusly. Okay, I wasn't certain if that one would actually hit the net or would just bounce off the side, but it went in, so I'm good. Right, now I know I saw a package of snacks just float away.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits.
Can't actually eat these, so they go to the furnace. Plus, they've been in the vacuum of space for God knows how long. Okay, what are you?
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Okay, what are you and why can't the grapple lock onto you? Alright, so clearly not even the magnetic gloves can lock on, so either it's just random debris and extra trash, or it's something important that I don't have access to just yet. I know in the update notes, they mentioned the ability to build your own private vessel using extra salvage parts that I guess you could sneak past links with. I guess it's an alternate way to win the game, even though you're still stuck with the debt if you feel like fleeing and breaching your contract.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Even though they can technically just clone you and use the clone. And if you have seen any prior episodes, or at least the last couple I think, I have actually talked about, hey look, you can actually remove the fabric now. Goody. Anyway, talking about how one theory that I have is that you're just a clone of another shipbreaker. Either Weaver himself, because originally he was the only voice that you were able to talk to, or just somebody else who did their job, paid off their debt, and went home because he could, because he no longer owed Lynx anything. But rather than just hire somebody new, they just created a clone, gave him the original person's original memories, so he doesn't know that he doesn't have a debt. Tell him that he's incurred a 1.25 billion credit debt, and then expects him to pay it off multiple times. So
Raw material processed. Credits deposited.
they basically get all the profit of multiple shipbreakers worth of debt without actually incurring it multiple times. So even if we can or could or possibly would escape, they'll still make back their money.
Secured. Credits deposited.
And then hunt the character down for breach of non-payment. Oh look. A circuit board that I pushed off to the back of the vessel, which almost hit that fuel tank. Almost. Alright, and head back for World War II.
Credits transferred.
Hey, Connor, I need you to head back to the kiosk on the starting platform to fill up your rope 2. Stat. We're right.
Working on it.
Oxygen level stabilizing.
There we go. Right now, did I hit this cut point? I actually did, yes. Means you can just yank this off this way. And into the maw it spins.
Valuable object. Credits awarded.
Alright, and we made back the costs.
Credits awarded.
Alright, so just pop off this fuel tank and toss it into the barge. Oh, wiring. It is flagged as something. Alright, well, if it's important, I'll figure out what it is later. Alright, so this is a cargo hatch because this is a cargo vessel. The hatch itself goes to the barge, but I have to cut it off first. So hit here and hit here. And then just slides off and gets thrown straight down.
Salvage secured. Account credit applied.
Oh look, a drink to go with that food pack. Probably just as old and has just been sitting in a vacuum just as much, so to the furnace with you. And then we keep yanking out storage boxes. Keep flinging them into the net.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Hit my head with one. Luckily, it's not dense enough to actually crack the helmet. Otherwise, I'd be in trouble because the helmet's the only thing keeping my head oxygenated.
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
And luckily, these storage boxes don't have health bars. Otherwise, the one that is scraped across the bottom hull probably would have broken. Although the small little chunks are relatively fragile.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
I really hate the very small little chunks. Not because of the chunks themselves, but because there's usually like large piles of them. Remember one time I was taking apart a research gecko and there were like 3 dozen different data drives that I had to pull manually by hand individually, and there were like multiple groups of these multiple dozen drives. Took forever. I mean, they were worth the salvage, don't get me wrong, but they took forever, and I was just sitting there and half the shit.
Helmet damage detected.
Right, and that's what I mean by cracking the helmet.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
It's okay for reminiscing and not paying attention. Now, unlike health, I can repair the suit
Welcome to Vintatron 9000.
using the patch kit.
For your purchase.
You know, while I'm here, I might as well top off on O2.
Welcome to Vintatron 9000. Have a nice day.
Even though it's the exact same cost, regardless of how much O2 I actually refuel and how much suit I actually repair. But you know, I've yet to actually get killed on one of these salvage runs, regardless of the update, and I don't intend to start now. So, caution is a tool of the wise. Just cut that right there. Yeah, see, this little light took 1 box of health damage just by scraping across the very thing that it used to be connected to.
Credits transferred. Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited. Salvage secured. Account credit applied. Valuable object processed. Credits deposited. Ship salvaged in full. Credits applied.
Alright, now we turn a profit with this fuel tank. Get in the net. And we're good. This looks like the only things left in here are these soft containers. Luckily that one didn't hit the helmet. I'd prefer not to fix the suit multiple times.
Salvage secured. Credits deposited.
Soft crates are usually fine. It's the hard crates, or as you saw, the storage bin traveling at your head at high velocity or high-ish velocity that causes the problems.
Transferred.
Anyway. Let's just rip the floor off. Same with the ceiling. More random strange components that I just can't touch. And another thing of liquid. Beverage, as I believe it's called. Anyway, off you go. Oops. Yeah. Got part of the floor caught on the frame. And since everything's loose, all the parts go flying. Off to the mall with you. And you. Come on.
Valuable object processed. Credits awarded.
Alright, so the frame that held the cargo bay door goes to the blue mall. Since I was fairly certain I was inside of it, part of me was kind of worried that, you know, it would hit the character in the back of the head. But it didn't, so we're good. Anyway.
Valuable object processed. Credits
Get
deposited.
this door off its hinge. Take a look at what's in the back. Be engine compartment as it is. Store gets processed, it goes to the processor. More of whatever these are. More bottles. Interesting. Oh look! A poster.
Oxygen reserves are low. Reminder, asphyxiation can lead to missed salvage quotas.
I just shove that in the blue maw and then head back out.
Valuable object. Credits awarded.
I do like it when I can tether the hab directly from the ship, but range increases don't come until another couple of levels away.
Welcome to Vintage Run 9000.
Oxygen levels stabilizing.
And since the floor is gone, I can just yank this hard crate, which also could technically break the helmet if I hit it with my face. Just toss that down that way, and
Secured.
oh,
Count credit applied.
that's a fuel line. Didn't think they'd have them on tiers this low. And because it's got lights on it, there's still fuel in there. So if I hit that with the laser cutter, it goes boom. Should be... Now there's no thruster in here, so I don't have a cutoff switch. But there technically should be a cutoff switch somewhere in this general vicinity. Of course, since it's a class 2 salvage hazard, there might not be.
Secured. Credits
Can I
deposited.
yank these equipment mounts off? No, I can't. Okay. Just curious. I mean, it's all going to the furnace anyway, but, yeah. Yeah, so there's no cutoff point here. Alright, so... I'm guessing it won't let me... No, I can actually take it instead of shoving it into the barge. Okay. Try not to hit the fuel line. Get it clear of the fuel line and then fire it off to the blue maw.
Object accepted for processing. Credits deposited.
And then we hit these cut points. Alright, so I don't think they actually have a way of flushing the gas, but I believe the pipe goes to the... No, the fuel pipe actually goes to the processor. Interesting. So I yank the back section completely off. Don't even know if it shifted the frame. I can't even see the frame. But, oh look, an antenna. That's what I get for not checking, as I said. Work outside in and then back front. Didn't see the antenna there, so...
Salvage secured.
If I'd been on that side, I probably would have missed it completely. Anyway, get in the maw.
Valuable object processed. Credits awarded.
Alright, and all that's left should be the frame and the fuel pipe. So, just to play it safe, because I have absolutely no idea if I hit the fuel pipe with a laser, would explode, or do I just simply cut it off? As I said, when it's lit up like that, that means there's still fuel there, and as far as I know, I have no way of flushing it, so just cut off. Basically do what I did last time by cutting the frame in half, and both vertically and technically horizontally. I don't want to hit the equipment mount, so I'll cut it here. No, actually did that go? I think it's still attached on the bracket outside. Of course, the bracket outside just popped off, so away with you.
Material deposited.
That's still connected, these are still connected. Alright, and we should be clear now, so if I just yank this up, and in you go. And it looks like I actually have enough certification points to get to rank 4, which is nice. If memory serves, last update it took me 2 ships to do the exact same thing.
Your oxygen reserves are low.
Didn't I just fill the O2?
Carbon dioxide can cause damage to Link's equipment.
I just make certain it doesn't hit the storm break and then head back to the kiosk. All at the speed of ridiculously slow, because the thrusters only travel at 2.54 meters a second. Apparently that's all they're rated for. Even though, again, vacuum. Shouldn't be anything to break it outside of the computer.
Oxygen levels stabilizing.
And we're good. And I can keep working. Alright, so that should be free now, yes? Yes, it is. Okay. Just yank it down and around so that way I don't hit the chunk with the fuel line still on it. I don't think there's anything still left on there worth salvaging. If not, it better be furnaceable, otherwise I'm gonna get dinged for whatever it is. Assuming it gets in there. And it does. Nope, I missed a door. Oh well, it's only 622 credits, so no one cares. Alright, so this thing. How do I get the fuel line off? I mean, it's obvious how I get the fuel line off. You know, I just cut it here, but as I said, I'm fairly certain it's still filled with fuel, even though... Yep, there it goes.
Seems like you've experienced one of the many hazards of the job for the first time. Now, spares cost credits, so it's better not to blow yourself to smithereens, if at all possible.
Alright, so I'm guessing I can't actually cut off this fuel line because tutorial, but this green smoke is actually fuel, so if I get close enough it'll cause me damage and all that fun stuff. So I'm guessing there's no way to actually salvage the fuel pipe, so everything goes to the furnace. Huh. Nice that it's leaving gas like that. I wonder. Nope, out of range.
Material deposited.
In we go. Alright, and unlike last time where there was this little gap in between the salvaged and incorrectly salvaged bars, there is not. So the Trident is no more. So all that's left to do is head back to the hab. Alright, so I know in version 0.5, it didn't automatically refuel the fuel tank. So what I'm going to do is just top off on Nova Fuel and technically O2. Can't really top off on health during shifts, so nothing I can do about that other than try to be more careful. And then we end the shift. Alright, so I lost 4.8% of the vessel, totaling 89,234 credits, and I made 1,764,515 credits, and actually there was 0.01% remaining of 2,398 credits worth of random scrap, and I lost all of this, but made all of this, so benefits. And hit end of shift.
New certification level awarded. License upgraded.
And I am now a beginner, so now they consider me mostly employed. Basically worth the training, I guess. So we end the shift. Said end the shift.
Hello Shipbreaker. Please enjoy this inspirational message. The last 10% of a job takes as much energy as the first 90%, so think of what it takes to hit 110%, and aim for that.
So basically 3 times the amount, and it's impossible because you can't get past 100% because that's everything. Anyway, we wake up, and we get a new message. Basically explains hazard level 2, which is fuel and fire hazards. And good morning, Shipbreaker. And I have a new HAB poster available, and I can customize my living space to boost my mood and increase productivity. So that poster I technically stole off the salvageable vessel is now mine. And this is an email about hazard level 3, which is electricity. So next stage up, I have to deal with electrical components, and the next stage after that, I believe, is radiation in form of the reactor core, which still always amuses me that nowadays they consider reactor cores and radiation hazards less hazardous than oxygenated cabins. Alright, so due to regulatory rollbacks, Link Salvage does not do a preliminary examination. It's disconnect potential electrical hazards. I believe shipbreakers are well suited to handle such dangers. Long-time savings are highly beneficial. So basically, they don't check to be certain everything is off. Much like they don't check to be absolutely certain all the fuel's gone. Caution is advised in all things. Also, I get access to a new ship, the Mackerel Xenolab. Typically used for deep space research. I'm fairly certain I read this before. Comes outfitted with a variety of scientific instrumentation, and also contains fragile equipment and beware of electrical hazards. So the quote from Stacy Happerchuck, marketing manager of Klein Co., is my predecessor Ted incorrectly stated that there were frequent electrocutions aboard Xenolabs. Actually, those electrocutions are still being investigated. I'm guessing she killed him, because that seems like that kind of game. Anyway, I'm not certain if I've seen this or mentioned this before, but these are the daily fees, and every day, at least after every shift, I have a new list of fees. So every shift, which for this type of file is 15 minutes long, I need to make 524,962.46 credits. I don't actually need to beat this exact number because part of this exact number involves interest on the actual loan, which is 0.01%, or the debt as it is. Loans are a form of debt, so the debt or the loan. Anyway, interest 0.01. That's actually relatively kind of them. One of the few kind things that they'll let me do outside of stealing posters. And then bay leasing fee, salvage transport, rent for all the tools and the HAB and the HAB utilities and the suit and the scanner. Interesting. I was going to say it doesn't list the suit, but it's underneath the scanner. And then thrusters. So all the equipment has to be rented until I can buy it, which I don't have access to just yet. Alright, and I get a new sticker, which I dubbed the Shipbreaker, because I've now completed the tutorial, and I am now considered an actual shipbreaker, as opposed to a worm, which is what they call the trainees. And Link's safety 3rd. So kind of them to rate safety that high. Actually, I think that's an overstatement. But anyway, remember minimum payments, yada yada yada, same thing every day.
Hey, Cutter. I'm looking at the stats coming from your bay, and it's looking like you're really gonna make your way around here. It's time to learn about how to upgrade your equipment and some of the more advanced tools you'll soon have at your disposal. Now head on over to your workbench in the equipment room, and we'll see about upgrading your tools.
Alright, so it's not letting me change the posters for, I'm guessing because I'm still arguably in a tutorial. But, let's look at equipment. And I get access to one sticker, which I don't really pay much attention to. And then
I'm
equipment.
gonna read this straight from the manual. Links rewards hard work and learning by giving shipbreakers access to tool improvements and new equipment. Reaching salvage goals is essential for becoming a master shipbreaker. Basically, they want to make sure you prove yourself first before giving you the big guns. Completing salvage goals will net you shiny Links tokens. Use those tokens here to get yourself some new gear. Sometimes there are some extra goodies in the rewards too. So let's get going and learn about one of the most important tools in a shipbreaker's toolbox. Tethers. Go ahead and purchase them.
Alright, so tethers are part of the handheld utility grapple, and I keep poking at demo chargers just for fun, because they say useful tools, all the good toys, all this stuff, and I keep pointing at demo chargers, in case somebody didn't get that. Anyway, so here we are. I can get a push module, which basically allows me to charge up the force pushes, so rather than tapping the push key and, as you saw, just rapidly just firing off kinetic pushes to shove something in the direction I wanted to go, I can charge it up and fire it that way. But what it wants me to do is, that's the grapple license, which I think I already have access to. And I guess I actually have access to the push module already. It's the charged push that I don't have access to yet. This is what I thought this was, but it's not, so okay. Anyway, it wants me to unlock this thing. So, confirm. I have to hold now. Got
Have
that.
a quick read, then hop back in the bay.
Alright, so this is basically an email about how tethers work. It's basically a standalone, continuous van der Waals field system, or tethers for short, which basically allow me to yank things in the direction I wanted to go without actually pointing it at where I wanted to go. Useful for heavy objects, and they can be used in tandem, but I only get a limited supply of tethers, and much like Nova Fuel, they no longer refill between shifts, or at least back and before this current update, they didn't. So, all that fun stuff, and I believe I start with 10 of them. But anyway, as I increase in the various ranks and tiers and whatnot, more of these upgrades will unlock, which I can then purchase to upgrade equipment, get access to new features for the equipment, or, because they do a lot of the tools do have durability tied to them, and the more I use them, the more they wear out, I can increase the durability, or once I get high enough and get enough Links tokens, I can actually purchase the tool, which means I no longer have to rent it, which means one less thing on the daily fees. And the same is true for the cutter. Still don't think I can actually get above cut grade 1, which is a disappointment still, but it happens. There's also the thrusters, which I think increase speed and the amount of fuel, and I can purchase them in durability. They don't actually get any shiny new toys. The cross-spectrum scanner, I can get access to 2 other kinds of scanning modes, which allow me to see systems and salvageable objects, I believe. Maybe it's kind of hard to see. I need to get to tiers 5 and 8 in order to actually see those, and then it's just range and durability, and then purchasability. And then helmet, it doesn't degrade, but it can access O2 capacity. Have it gain the ability to recharge O2 while in an oxygenated environment, or it can just simply purchase it. And then the work suit has integrity, heat resistance, cryo resistance, and electrical resistance. The 3 main hazards found aboard ship. The audio resense, so you can basically make it sound like I'm actually working in an oxygen environment, and I can purchase the suit. The demo charges I don't actually get access to until tier 11. They don't let me play with explosives until then. But again, I can increase the number of explosives I can carry. I can make it so that way when they explode, they don't take out anything except what I wanted to do. I can disarm them, so if I don't want them where I put them, I can basically pick them up and move them without them exploding. An auto deploy, I'm not quite certain what that does. It's hard to read because the tier requirement not met is still flagged. I can purchase them, or durability. Why explosives have a durability, I don't know, but it may be referring to the detonator. And that, at the moment, is all my equipment, and I do start off with what looks like 8 repair kits. I can also buy more. I think I actually did. 1, maybe 2. At least for now, that's all the equipment. As I said, early access, adding new things. They may add another toy for me to play with. Alright, so now that that's been dealt with, can I change the poster? I guess not. I wonder if that's a glitch or bug, or because I just purchased the tethers, they're going to have me do the tether tutorial. At least next. However, I've been playing this for quite a while, and the video is long enough, so rather than going with the tether tutorial and learning about tethers yet again. That's the bed. I can actually sit on the bed. Okay. I want to look out the window. There we are. Okay, I don't know why I wanted to look out the window. I just wanted to. It's like all this fun stuff out here. That's the rail gate, by the way. But as I was saying, tutorial almost done with. Have to deal with tether tutorial, and then I can go about my way. Alright, that's a message about the kiosk. You have poster available. Alright, read the unread message. So anyway, I can start a new shift, but videos as long as it is, and probably too long, but that's always been my problem. So the tether tutorial will have to wait, and everything that comes after it, I should point out, will have to wait till next time, because I'm going to call it here.
Everybody stay safe from the plague, and have a good day.